Welcome to Good Morning Hospitality, your one-stop shop for the latest news, noteworthy trends, and thought-provoking discussions across the industry. From hotels and short-term rentals to all things travel and hospitality, you'll find each episode equips you with the information that you need to start your week. Join us on Good Morning Hospitality every Monday, wherever you get your podcasts.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hello, hello. Happy Monday.
It's the best day of the week. I was going to give it to you, but then you delayed. So,
well, I was waiting for you to come in and steal it like you always do. I'm just kidding.
Sorry.
I was giving you the opportunity. You know, I always want to share with my co-hosts. How you guys doing today?
Fantastic. I had a great weekend. Very relaxing.
A great weekend. Wow.
Yes.
I'm starting to think I need to trademark that Monday is the best day of the week.
100%.
I know, but
What are you doing?
you have to hop in there. It's hot. It's it's a hot commodity these days.
But you guys
Just wait
finished
till the
my
merch. Sentences?
That's
Sandwiches. There we go.
That's right.
A fun Monday morning. It has not just been us three in a while. I feel like it's been like, guest after guest, and then we have Jamie, and then the Sam Shank episode, and then we launched our hotel crew with Steve and Sarah. So it's been busy couple weeks with the GMH family. We're growing. We're growing.
I know it's been. I feel like it all happened like at once. There was like this build up to it, and now it's really cool, especially seeing the hotel crew. It's like great to see kind of the new energy they bring to the GMH fam.
I could not agree more. And one of the things I told them I was going to steal from their Wednesday episode is live roll call for all of our live listeners, because apparently that works great for them and I've never done it. So if you are tuning in live, tell us where you're tuning in from, because we want to know. So give us a quick roll call. They kill it every Wednesday with that. And a bunch of people from like Spain and London and Dubai and all these other places all over the world tune in. So I'm going to try to steal it from them. Sorry, Steve and Sarah, but that's what happens when I get to produce both episodes.
I know we've had some consistency out of Israel and London and Canada, so let's see. Toronto, there it is. Canada.
There it is. Boom. Terry White coming on in.
Where's Michael Scott? We gotta have our loyal Cassiola listeners.
There he is.
There he is.
Right now.
Amazing.
Oh, good old Michael. Brandy called it perfect timing. Perfect timing. Well, I think, speaking of loyal listeners over here, the topic of today for our Monday episode is about, does loyalty even matter anymore? Who cares about loyalty when it comes to brands? Apparently, no one, because with all the loyalty reward changes happening with Delta and a couple other industry companies, I think we could say it's safe to say.
Verbo, for that matter, too.
Yeah, so let's jump into it. I know, Brandy, you're excited for sure about Verbo, and not Brian. Wow, Michael, I know you're excited for Delta. So who wants
Definitely
to go first?
Not excited. That's a very bad word.
Let's jump into.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
You go ahead, Brandy. Lead the way. Yeah. Ladies first.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, let's start with airlines, because this, as you know, I know you are a Delta brat, a Delta loyalist, but I feel like these changes, they've also happened. I have to be an American loyalist because Miami is the hub. But like, let's jump into this. And I think anyone who flies has seen that these changes are happening. So why don't you take us through kind of what's been going on in the Delta universe?
Well, I mean, to the same extent that you're an American brat out of Miami, I'll probably always be a Delta brat. But these changes hit me hard. Some of them are very needed. So they've made some changes to the Sky Club. And if you've been to an airport lately, there's a line just a ways down the road for getting into the Sky Club. So that's been a long time coming. But the changes to the status profiles, to hit platinum, it's 50% more in spend. So it went from a $12,000 spend to an $18,000. $18,000. Y'all go ahead.
An $18,000 spend.
Yeah, there we go. That's what he's trying to say. So,
It's so upsetting he can't speak.
Breaking my heart. Yeah. So, and that really, it's all it comes down to is the spend. So Delta's like done away with how many flights you've taken, how many miles you've done, and it only matters how much you spend with them. And that kind of shows the cards on what they find is loyal. Not, I use them to fly every time. I always stay in a Marriott. I always, eat at this restaurant. I always fly Delta. We don't care if you always fly Delta. We only care if you spend $18,000 a year with us or more, right? And so they've kind of taken the fun and the gamification and the like, how do I hit platinum this year? How do I hit gold this year? Whatever. Gold went from it's up 50% as well. So it went from an $8,000 spend to a $12,000 spend. Silver from a $3,000 to a $6,000. So, I mean, even hitting a $6,000 spend in flights a year, if you're just doing domestic, that's still a lot of flying. But to do $18,000 of spend to hit platinum, I mean, that's 9-10 trips international a year, basically. So Delta, I've given you a lot of props on this show before. I'm very not happy with you right now. I haven't taken it up with customer service yet. I'm sure plenty of people have. But as a brand, like, we all should think of how to create a loyal following, and this is certainly not it. You want to take care of the people that always fly with you, that always travel. And I think where Delta probably went wrong was giving everybody freebies for this credit card or that credit card, and not actually rewarding their loyal travelers, the people that actually fly with them a certain number of miles or a certain number of legs or a certain number of trips a year. But now, it's gotten, the credit card piece has gotten so out of hand that it's really just boiled down to dollars and cents. And you hate that. You absolutely hate seeing brands just kind of ball it up and throw it off to the side and don't care. And we'll rag on Vrbo here in a few minutes, but the Expedia One Key piece is more attractive now. And I think, we're going to see loyalists go more as generalists back to the OTAs if they don't see certain rewards as worthwhile. So shame on you, Delta. Shame on you.
Oh, I have kind of two comments based around that, and excuse me. I know we're all having a little choke up moment today, but so two comments. One, I'm hearing a lot from people that aren't in the industry, but people that are talking about brand in general, right? If Apple today was to create a hotel or a vacation rental company, we kind of know what we would expect from it, right? Based off of the brand that Apple has built. Well, if Marriott or Hilton created a cell phone or some other piece of tech, we don't really know what that would look like in the sense of brand, because again, a lot of their properties, no offense, I'm a big loyalist to Marriott, but a lot of the properties aren't really that different when it comes to the design and the look and the feel. They're a bunch of boxes inside a bigger box. So for me, like, the brand in the sense of the way Delta's playing it tarnished, like Michael said, it takes away the gamification piece, and it's just really sad. So I want to know if you guys want to agree with that statement. If Apple were to create a hotel today, we would know what exactly it would look like in the sense of that versus Marriott creating a cell phone, maybe. And then the next one is with the One Key program with Expedia and this whole maybe brand loyalty shift happening with, again, Delta as an example, and maybe even Vrbo. Do you guys think other loyalty reward programs will ever get kind of connected into the One Key program, like Bonvoy or Hilton or anything like that, in the sense of trying to create a master loyalty program across the board, whether it's OTA or Book Direct?
So I think I would trust a hotel from Apple before I would trust a cell phone from Marriott, if I was being honest. But I think that one of the problems about like this whole shift is that the kind of the elite status, and actually Colin from Skift said it, if everyone is elite, no one truly is. And that's part of the problem is everybody figured out the gamification. So, to, Michael's point about the complaints of the Delta Sky Club and at the Amex Lounge, they took away the ability to bring in a guest for free. And they also started creating like fake lines. Like I had to wait at the Miami airport at 6 a.m. in this like 10-minute line, but then you got up there and there was no one in there. And like they're creating this false sense of scarcity because, we've all figured it out. So now we're all being punished for playing their own game. And the problem with the one key and any sort of like program like that is that you can only get benefits within that program, right? So like maybe you spend a certain amount of money and then Expedia as a company gives you some sort of benefit, but one of the benefits of the airline loyalty points is priority boarding, all of your upgrades, free bags, maybe companion pass or something like that. So you're going to lose those benefits on the airline, which make flying a lot more comfortable. So definitely you could see some financial benefits from, if you buy enough flights and hotels and whatever in the one key program, then maybe like your next vacation rental, you get like 50% off because you've accumulated so many points, but you might still be like in the middle seat in the back of coach because you didn't get an upgrade. So it's, that's like, I kind of see this like for people that fly a lot or that really care about their flying experience, you're just going to be doubling down on that credit card that, your Delta card or your Amex card. Now, like that's where all of your expenses are going because that like the dollar amount, regardless of what you're spending on, is going towards your loyalty.
100%. And just because I can see people tuning in on the LinkedIn page and our YouTube and all this other stuff, want to give you a quick one more roll call. Give us where you're calling in from or tuning in from, and let us know your thoughts on this because I would love to know about loyalty on your guys' side, especially because a lot of us, well, at least this crew we're very vacation rental focused, and the vacation rental sector is not known for having a loyalty rewards program. We don't have anything like that in that sense. So I'm also curious on that perspective of kind of loyalty in general when it comes to brand. But Michael, you look like you have something to say, so go ahead and
Yeah.
step right
So
on in.
to Brandy's comment, it's not just about spend on the card. With Delta, you have to spend $18,000 on Delta flights on your personal account. So
Oh,
yeah, it's one thing
That is a
spending
real bummer.
$18,000 on a credit card. That's not hard. Yeah, on Delta flights for you to fly. So
Oh,
there's
yeah,
perks
that
of
sucks.
like sitting in the aisle seat. I can't sit anywhere but an aisle seat. I'm tall. I get up a lot. If you have me in the middle or a window, sorry to the people next to me. But yeah, it's really gotten quite out of reach unless you're a massive, massive business traveler. Like $18,000 a year to fly, just hit platinum. That's pretty brutal.
Yeah, you got to be on the
Yeah.
road quite a bit. Like conference season, maybe I could maybe pull it off. But actually, probably not. I was just looking
Dude,
at my flights and I was like,
$18,000 on
yeah,
flying is a massive amount. Like if
yeah,
it's 2K a year to 2K a flight to fly to Europe, which sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. Doing a trip a month basically.
yeah.
Crazy.
Well, I mean, those big four consultants are now like, finally, it's just us with the upgrades. They're back.
That's very true. Very true. Well, it's kind of crazy. Yeah, I don't know. For me, it just seems like there is, I don't know, maybe before COVID, there was a lot more meaning behind the status. Now it just kind of feels like, oh, thanks for being a member. Cool. Don't really care. None of the perks are really applicable. I was talking to somebody here in Denver yesterday, and I just met him. It was one of my buddy's friends, and he was talking about again Delta loyalists, Marriott loyalists, all this other stuff, and all the perks like the free check bag, this and that, like just wasn't being applied. And he was like, "What's the point anymore? I have no like. I'm gonna go on this trip with my wife to I forget where they're going. I think they're going to Israel or something like that. But he's like, I don't really care on who I'm flying with as long as it's cheaper. And at the end of the day, I don't care if it's a brand that I've stuck with because of how frustrating it's become to actually use your perks. It's kind of I was telling them it's an if and or but situation. It's like, if you want to use your points, then you have to do this. And in order for that to qualify, you have to do this. But if you do that, then
Yeah.
actually you're not going to get it. And then it's just like, what the hell am I signing up for? What's the point? Why do I do this? Why do I spend all this money? Because yeah, maybe 18,000 is a really hard number to hit on just flights alone. But at the end of the day, if you're spending money with this brand year after year after year, then why are you getting treated as if you just booked
And
for
you
the
have
first
for a
time?
decade, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah,
Yeah.
it's frustrating, and everyone needs to kind of think, especially probably more the hotel audience that we're chatting with today versus the short-term rental, but it you got to really think of how to take care of your loyal travelers. And if it's not going to be status anymore, then what are you going to do to earn our business when we show up to the airport? Because now you're commoditizing it. You went from a loyalty piece, which I know I was paying more for a lot of flights than I necessarily didn't have to, but I did it because I was loyal. But if that loyalty is gone, and I know I'm not going to spend $18,000 a year to hit platinum, that'd be irresponsible as a small business owner. So what's Delta going to do to earn it? And the answer is probably cut back on staff and have fewer perks for folks and save money and charge more. And then ultimately it's now a commodity. So well
Well,
done.
that's just such a bummer. Like they're already, the perks of airlines have really kind of been sloughed away, and if you ever fly kind of the Middle Eastern airlines, like you fly Emirates or even Singapore Airlines, Qatar, and you're like, wow, this is incredible. And the perks are, you just are treated, no, if you can upgrade to business or first class or whatever, you really feel like you have been upgraded. And if the kind of American or like the airlines that we're all flying with normally, if they cut back even more, it's like, what is left at that point? And then I just want, Terry White in the comments was saying, if they see a property for $1 less, they'll book it. And I think that is what's going to happen with the airlines. You're like, okay, like it doesn't really matter because I'm not going to hit that $18,000 spend. I might as well just go the cheapest route possible. So it might become a race to the bottom. But maybe we're a little bit optimistic about what our consumer power is. Also, I want to feel like we have some righteous ability to change, but I don't know if that's the case.
For you out of Miami and for me out of Atlanta, it's not going to change much just because they're the
Yeah.
hubs. But for cities that aren't major hubs, you have options, and so you don't need to pick a single airlines. And if you look at how Europe is with their flights, there's almost no loyalty to any airlines because there's so many cheap. It became a race to the bottom over there, and that's what it is. And I guess we'll see that in the U.S.
Yeah, well, we could probably rant on airlines all day, but our next topic is VRBO, and normally I'm putting Airbnb
What'd you
in the
call
hot
him?
Verbo.
What'd you call
Sorry,
him?
that's
There we go. There we go.
that's a holdover from the
That's all.
earlier days.
How upset she is.
I know, but so this was another kind of update on their cancellation policies. So now there's going to be a host cancellation fee. If you're a host that cancels within 48 hours, you're going to be penalized. Let me pull up the exact amount. Yeah, within 48 hours, you'll be charged 50% of the gross booking value. If you're 30 days to that 48 hours, it's 25%. And anything prior to 30 days, the penalty is 10% with a minimum of $50. So, the rest of the article doesn't go into like what happens if you refund the guest in full, like if you're, trying to make the guest whole for whatever happens. But just given this information, this really drives me crazy. And I think that I can understand that I'm biased because I am a host and an operator, and I feel like we're just constantly getting attacked by the OTAs. But this seems kind of ridiculous. Like, I think if I have a property that, let's say someone's coming to stay and 6 days before the AC breaks and there's just no way we can replace it, we refund them in whole, but then we're still going to get charged for that. I understand that some hosts cancel last minute and do a lot of like jerry rigging to get higher prices, and that there's kind of that manipulation, but across the board, that seems a little crazy, and just further penalization. Like, so let's say someone cancels or the host cancels within 48 hours. We refund the guests because there's been some crazy issue, but then we are also charged 50% of the booking value. So if I have this kind of set up wrong, I'd love to be corrected, but that just seems so anti-host, anti-supplier. And it just is another add-on of this kind of battle between the operators, the supplier of the product, and the OTAs. And if the OTAs are trying to get us to push our book direct campaigns, then they are doing a fantastic job, because it just continues to not feel like a partnership when we're both necessary for each other, but it just seems very, very harsh. And as always, like incredibly guest centric without factoring in what the hosts need.
Are they taking their fee, or are they charging you? So if it's $1,000 a night, are they taking 50% of the entire night stay, or 50% of their fee?
It says the gross booking value. So I
they would
believe
charge
that
you $500 to cancel a booking, that their fee would only be. And where's that money going? Is that just going to Verbo's coffers?
Well, I'm sure if they charge you, yeah. I mean, I doubt it's going to the guests if you refunded them. Heather mentions that you can work with your Verbo rep to have that penalty waived, which I do believe you'll have to do. But then think about it. If you have thousands or hundreds of Verbo reservations a month, that's just like more work that you have to do, and it becomes this fight. Then you have to be like, hey, like here's all the documentation. It's just like if you have to go through the Airbnb resolution center for something, and it adds more work. There's isn't a streamlined process. And yeah, I have more questions. Like where the money's going is a great question. And I think if the guest gets refunded, you make them whole, and you couldn't host them for whatever legitimate reason, then I think everybody has kind of done their part. And it would obviously suck to be on vacation and have that happen to you. But if you have all your money back, then you have the ability to kind of make a, game time decision and figure out something else.
It's one thing if they're taking their fee because they feel like they're getting cut out. Like if you cancel it so people can then go book, direct. Somebody in the corporate office is sitting there and looking at the statistics that says 15% of our bookings get canceled within these periods and these periods and these periods. Mm-hmm. So how do we make money off of those? Because we got the eyeballs, we got a conversion, and then something happened. So how do we find out what happened? You make the process painful and people tell you, right? That's one. And then two is we make money by doing that. So then we can fund finding out how people are falling off. So now they've got a pot of money that goes to customer service agents that you're on the phone with for 2.5 hours. And yeah, it again, back to loyalty and partnership. And we've given Verbo a lot of credit on this show for not doing what some of their competitors have done. But this certainly feels like a move that takes them in a step in the wrong direction. So I hope there's more clarity on this coming out soon. Kudos to them for releasing this before conference season, so everyone can,
find them at Verma,
check in with their reps, right? It'd be a really bad look if they did it on the other side of conference season. So at least there's that, and maybe there's a lot more clarity and whatnot here. I remember the very first conference I went to in the industry was I think 2015, and it was when Verbo changed from a subscription to a pay per commission, but you had to be online bookable. And the outrage in the room was absolutely insane. I was like, I got to be in this industry forever, right? People are just shouting at the executives from home away at the time. And so I'm very curious what actually comes out here. I don't know if this article did a poor job of explaining it. We'll definitely keep everybody up to date from what we find out. But first pass, we'll throw it in the Delta category is not showing loyalty.
It's funny you bring up that change back in 2015, 2016, because the first conference I ever went to was a home away summit in Orlando, and people were like irate, like basically storming the stage. And I was like, these are grown adults, like just behaving like this at a concert, or sorry, a conference. And I'm like, oh my gosh, am I that person now? Like, I'm so upset about this. I was like, oh no.
You're not doing
I'm
it
not
in person. You're just doing it on a very big broadcast every Monday.
Well, I yeah, exactly. No, but I mean, I understand, I can understand a business needing to operate a profitable and functional business. So there's obviously reasoning behind this, but it's because we've seen so many of these examples over the last couple years where it just becomes more and more cumbersome to be a host. And instead of it being like an innocent until proven guilty, it's guilty until proven innocent with a lot of the processes. And it's just, I think that maybe what's lost on some of the OTAs or maybe the general public is like, this is expensive as for an operator to kind of deal with this. It's like a cash flow problem when you can't figure out like what's actually coming in and out. And a lot of people are paying their owners a lot. Like you might be taking in a lot of revenue, but a lot of that is probably going back out to your owners. And so it is like these changes, they might seem small, but they can have serious financial impacts,
Yeah, 100%. I'm glad you also mentioned the amount of credit we've given them on the show, because I was going to say, man, if Tim Rosolio is listening right now, we want to maybe have you come explain yourself on the podcast. Just kidding. But no, it is very interesting to see the pretty dramatic, I would say dramatic shift from them as a brand. Like we haven't seen anything like that really in the sense of upsetting the operator. They've done as much as possible to make sure it's a partnership. So I am very curious to continue to watch how partnership develops within our industry. Does it go more towards this way where Brandy, like you said, very well said, proven guilty until, or you're guilty until proven innocent type deal. If that's going to be the case, then I have a feeling there's going to be quite an uproar from not only operators who've been in the game for a long time, but the newer generation that's kind of stepping in, whether it's through unique property stays or through urban operations or, wild destination properties. I'm going to be surprised if we don't see a little bit of a pushback when it comes to the OTAs getting a little too cocky. So should be fun to watch. Speaking of, the battle continues. So Michael, you mentioned conference season. What else do we expect during conference season or right before conferences? What's kind of on your brain here?
It usually makes our life fun and easy. Today's show is, we're certainly complaining because there's been a lack of loyalty, it seems. But leading up to conference season, we almost always see a massive influx of funding announced. So there's probably been a lot of funding over the past couple months, and everyone's waiting right before conference season, which is between now and Verma. So we've got 3-4 weeks on that. Will has been working hard on something and would love to share it with everybody.
Yeah, just a quick little product. As we, again, in the beginning of the episode, we stated that GMH has been very busy, from the launch of the hotel crew to having Sam Shank on to now also having a couple other guests for the future. Michael's getting ready to be dad number 2 again. So there's a lot of things happening, changing within the GMH sphere. And we wanted to kind of create a way, one, to communicate with our audience more, especially because we know a lot of you listen to the show rather than tune into the live, and having a kind of a direct kind of communication funnel. So long story short, with all the funding and announcements and the type of news that we normally cover on the Monday show, we created a Good Morning Hospitality Capital Report, or just the Good Morning Capital Report is what we're calling it, and dashboard. So if you go to goodmorninghospitality.com, you can now see a live dashboard, as I'm showing on the live screen right now, where we're tracking the amount of funding happening from seed all the way to going public and other types of equity rounds. We can also track who's acquiring. So you can see Airbnb, the companies they've acquired in the past. You can see other ones like that. You can search your company. If your company is not in our database, then we'd love to add you. And there's an easy link in there. But basically, tracking the amount of funding happening in the space with acquisitions to then also report back to you guys, because we also know how important it is to see the dollars coming in and out of the industry, especially from private equity and venture capital. So this is our Good Morning Capital Report. You can sign up on the website, and you can also sign up on our LinkedIn page directly. There's a register link there. We would love to have more ways to communicate with you outside of the podcast. And this has been a very fun project. I did not put this together fully. I'm not the data scientist that is required for this dashboard. So shout out
And
to
it wasn't
Caroline.
Jamie either, our
I know.
resident data nerd.
Yeah, I was going to say, it wasn't our typical data nerd, but shout out to Caroline Tomasic, who is, if anyone listens to other podcasts in the Hospitality FM network, then you'll love No Vacancy with Natalie Palmer, and her sister is actually a data scientist. And so I convinced her to help me with this project as I needed the help. So she's amazing. Shout out to you, Caroline. Thanks for doing it. And yeah, for all of our listeners, we'd love to have you part of the GMC report. It's a fun dashboard. It's interactive. Give us your thoughts. But that's my special announcement for today. So that's it. Drop mic, walk away.
Pretty big announcement.
Will,
Yeah,
where are you
okay.
going the rest of this week?
This week, yeah. So I go to a wedding this weekend, but right after the wedding, I'm going to be visiting the whole TravelNet team at their conference next. I will also add this link to sign up where you can attend the user conference with TravelNet Solutions. I'm excited. We've had Ryan Bailey on the podcast twice now, once with the announcement of Rented acquisition, and then two, to kind of see what's going on under the hood with building a tech company. And I loved the whole interview that we did with him. And so I'm excited to hang out in person with the team, and they're great sponsors of the show. So obviously got to go support our sponsors over there. And if maybe you saw us drinking our coffee this morning, shout out to Sojo for also providing the caffeine and the amazing amenities that I may have used this weekend while doing a little staycation. So that's about it. What about you guys?
Wonderful.
Where are you guys going? Anything for you, Brandy? I know you won't be at next with me, but
I won't be at
we will all
next
see
with
each other.
you,
Yeah. Where are we
but
going?
I am going to New Orleans this weekend, just a quick little work trip, and then I'm going to Romania. So there's going to be a GMH episode while I'm in Bucharest, and I'll still be doing it, but it'll be a different background.
Get Vlad
Hopefully-
the Impaler's castle in the background.
Yeah, exactly.
Of
That'd be
course,
cool.
Michael has to bring up the castle in the background. I love it.
Naturally.
I'll
Love
pick out
it.
some castles to add to Storied for you.
There we go.
Thank you.
There we
Yep.
go.
Romania is the
Dedication.
next on our list.
Perfect.
It's not, but maybe one day. Yeah, I'll be going to the hospital. So having a baby any day now, between now
Yay.
and who knows, the next week or so. So next time you see me, I probably won't be on next week, but I'll probably have bags under my eyes.
We'll edit those out.
More so than normal.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe a little hard for a live, but yeah, we'll do our best. We'll find some filters for you there,
Get
Michael.
that filter. Yeah.
I love it. Well, awesome. I feel really good seeing you guys every Monday. So this was a fun episode for all of our live viewers and listeners. Make sure you, of course, like and subscribe as always, wherever you find your podcasts. Make sure you check out our amazing sponsors who make this podcast possible through TravelNet Solutions. And of course, getsojo.com. Links are in our show notes. Michael is probably not going to be here next week or the week after. So shout out for more time with Brandy and I. And sorry, Michael. But we'll see you guys all next week. And of course, don't forget, sign up for the Good Morning Capital Report and Dashboard. We love to get all your feedback. So see you guys next week.